right. Jack, do you want to start off this episode?
Yeah, I probably can.
Like,
Yeah.
probably? Like, why are you saying it like that?
I mean, I have to make you want to come to me to start the episode. Like, I need to put myself in the alpha position over you as the beta, you know? So,
Ooh,
Torch Lit Podcast, the official Survivor Michigan podcast. My name is Jack.
my name is Sam.
And my name is Sarah.
Oh man, I love how you just took a page right out of the Dylan Constantine playbook.
I can't believe I just did that.
Can't believe you did. That was something.
Wow, that was something. Wow, that was something.
Dylan does seem to just innovate new strategy every single time.
Like in the first episode, he had one-liners, and then I feel like as the episodes have gone by, he started to like become more smart.
Yeah, he invented
Like
the
at first,
social game.
he was just comedic relief at first. That's what it seemed.
And that was all part of his strategy of making people think less of him and make them be the betas and he be the alpha. I just love how much, Will, when it's analyzing that one text message.
You said the word probably, and Will just goes into full, like, Will
Probably.
syndrome. Probably.
I kind of get that, though, because it's like, why probably when you can just commit? Like, it just sounds like he's waiting for a better opportunity to come around, and if that happens, then he's going to cancel.
Yeah, that's his true. Image he's crafting.
Or Dylan was maybe busy and is like, I could probably do that time.
Yeah, he's a busy dude. He had like homework and stuff. He's like, yeah, I really have to finish like this stuff. I have work, but I could probably get off in time. He's just a busy dude.
I see what you're saying, Sarah / Will. I don't know. That's the real thing. Is I feel like nobody can figure out what's in Dylan's head, and Will is like his paranoia is like what actually is going on in this guy's head.
Yeah.
Who might have a really good idea about what Dylan's actually thinking. We want to know. Yeah, he knows he's.
Well, no. First off, it's Lavana.
Well, Lavana
couldn't be here, so we thought about Wawa. But Wawa's on a date with Lavana.
Whoa.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
So
we got a third choice. That's rude. No.
So now, but we have our third choice, but actually are true in our hearts. Absolutely our first choice. We have our good friend, Austin.
Woo! We just needed a pace setter for this episode.
Austin.
Hey.
What's up, Austin?
Not much. Been a long day, but good. It's good to hear you guys' voices.
Yeah, I get to hear yours too.
Is Wawa with you?
Yes, he is. Yes. I have him here just for you.
Does Wawa want to say hello to the masses?
Wawa says hello.
That's incredible. He's one of our favorite cast members of the season.
Yes. Oh, Wawa, he's a strategic god. Let me tell you.
Dude, Wawa, I feel like was kind of dirty about the.
He was like,
edit.
"What are you doing?"
Like Wawa was kind of purpled. Like I feel like Wawa had a ton of influence in the game.
I know. Editors, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's giving you gold all season long. It's not like that was the only confessional I ever did with him. I should have done more. I regret that.
But also, at the same time, maybe Wawa is all strategy, but he's missing the heart because he's a stuffed animal. He doesn't have a heart.
Wawa has a lot of heart.
Okay, sure.
It takes a lot of heart to listen to me ramble to myself about Survivor.
It's true.
Is Wawa a good listener?
Yes. I mean, I will contend there is no better listener than a stuffed animal.
Oh, that's true.
Let's be honest. Come on.
Very true.
What better thing to have when you're very not slowly going completely insane about playing Survivor on a college campus with a bunch of crazy people, myself included. So yeah,
I would definitely say out of all the casts we've had so far in Survivor Michigan, this is definitely like the most just out there cast. Like every single person is just like has a very distinct personality, and they're just very, very unique, big personalities. I would say everybody, just about everybody.
That was something I didn't pick up on when I was playing. It wasn't until I was able to like go back and watch what other people were doing, what other people were saying, because there were definitely some people I had just written off, and then you find out, oh no, they actually were doing stuff that you just weren't privy to. So it's pretty cool. Everyone's got a really interesting view on the game, and I think that's the best thing about Survivors. Like, what the fans are seeing is 1/10 of the information, like, that was actually in the game, and then we're all playing the game with our own, like, 1/10 of information that we think we have, and that's all, like, thrown through the mosh pit of like our own biases and perceptions of the game. And so it's an absolutely fascinating thing to watch like a season of Survivor play out when everybody is processing the information differently.
Absolutely.
And how that creates like a kind of reality, a perceived reality.
Definitely. No,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Oh yeah.
It's like all the different, not 100% truthful realities of everyone combines to make like one perception. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. So before we get too ahead of ourselves, Austin, I want to ask you. I mean, it's been 2 years since this stuff was filmed.
Yeah.
What have you been up to in those 2 years? How have you been?
So, that's a long story. I've been, I've had my ups and downs. I was on production for season 4 and a bit of season 5. I graduated in summer, May of last year, so 2019. And then a bit after that started my online grad school program, currently more than halfway done with my master's in museum studies through Johns Hopkins University. So that's been an absolute blast. I've definitely found my calling with that in museums. I miss work right now. And there's that. That's really been it. Just work and school. Hanging in there, playing some video games on the side.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You played Survivor Buffalo, didn't you?
I did, yes. I forgot to talk about Buffalo. Yeah. So my birthday last year, Emily Paddock, she had played season 1 of Survivor Buffalo. If you haven't seen that, go see it. It's all on YouTube. And she convinced me to apply because she was hosting season 2. And so I said, why not? She offered to drive me there if I got cast. And so I did, and one road trip later, I found myself in Buffalo, New York, playing Game of Survivor once more. And that was just, I can't sing Survivor Buffalo's praises enough. If you haven't seen season 2, I highly recommend it. It's also all out on YouTube. And even though this is a much shorter game, it was only like 2 days, but like honestly, I had more fun in those 2 days than I did over the entire season of Survivor Michigan. Because like you can tell like this season of Survivor was not fun for me. So playing Buffalo, and I can't sing the cast's praises enough. You already know one of them if you're a big KYTL listener, Joe, who does power rankings with Paul. So Joe, I got to play with Joe, and I got to meet him, and I was internally fangirling when I saw him walk up because we followed each other on Twitter beforehand. He didn't know who I was, but I know who he was. So it was so funny. And I was like, holy crap, that's Joe. So, and I got to play with Sarah Gallagher from season 1
the Queen
of Michigan. And oh my gosh, I can't sing her praises enough. She is a total badass. She was so much fun to play with. Just the entire cast was phenomenal. The crew was phenomenal as well. Such a good experience. I have so many funny stories from that. So that was definitely a big turning point for me because you guys know after playing Michigan, I was very not in a good headspace. Like you can see if you've watched this season how much the game took a toll on my mental health, and that was very much my reality for quite a while. And so it wasn't until after I played Buffalo and I felt like I was able to really reinvent my Survivor self in a way that I was able to really start kind of the process of healing from everything. And now, before a couple weeks ago, whenever I talked about Survivor Michigan, I would get very jittery and kind of convulsy. It was kind of like a post-traumatic stress sort of thing. And now I'm good. So it's all been a journey. This is a very roundabout answer for how I'm doing, but
oh yeah,
I might get very philosophical, melodramatic on you guys.
That's why we love you. Yeah, I feel like
that's why you love me.
Yeah, definitely Survivor Michigan is, I feel like, much more close to the real game, kind of like what you were talking about in this episode. Survivor is fun, but then we can kind of, and it's kind of hanging over your life for so long, but then we can kind of just go out there and just do the fun parts for a weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
And the best thing was I went into Michigan, and you see this in episode 1 at Tribal, where I'm I get to play Survivor and talk about Survivor with people who love it as much as I do. So I was coming into this experience really wanting this community that I didn't have, really desperate for friends. And I think that comes across. And I think that came across in the long haul as well. And so going into Buffalo, I was more hey, if I make friends, that's the fringe benefit. But I really just want to play Survivor again and have a positive Survivor experience. So the fact that I have this amazingly supportive friend group from Survivor Buffalo who means the world to me is just that's the best gift of it that this entire experience has brought. That it's those little surprising things. Playing Michigan, I was oh boy, are these guys going to be super cutthroat, super nasty again? But they weren't, and it was just really great. So yeah, it's such an interesting kind of comparison to make between my two experiences of that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're gonna want to get into the episode and kind of start talking about that stuff.
Yeah,
of course,
dive into that negativity.
Dive into the pinnacle of my regression into an emotional shell of myself.
It definitely is a tough game. I know it's a tough game. So, kind of along those lines, this episode kind of cold opens into you kind of having a bit of a blow up. So, do you want to talk about that whole situation?
So this requires a bit of backtracking to week 3. So the week of the party, this is, as I mentioned, my very first college party. This is not my scene. I was very nervous about it. But the one person who was really kind of supportive and was I'll be with you and it'll be okay was Eliza. And she was just incredibly compassionate to my very fish out of water situation. And after the party was over and after we had debriefed with Andrew and you and Will, Sam had walked by us, and then Will walked by 15 minutes later with a bike, and that's where when you see in the episode of Will saying Austin can't keep his mouth shut, I was warning everyone he was super sketchy, but that was the reasoning wasn't caught on camera. So So after all that, as we're, walking home, before Elisa and I kind of go our separate ways, she's like, again, incredibly compassionate. She like gives me a hug and is like, awesome, I'm so proud of you. I know that was really hard for you to do. And that really meant a great deal to me because, like, honestly, I didn't have a lot of friends up until that point at Michigan. I was mostly just, doing class and stuff like that. And so it was really important, really just refreshing to have someone who's like extremely compassionate and supportive during a time that I was very uncomfortable. And so that really cemented that like this was someone I want to play the game with because I know the game can be difficult, and so I want someone who's going to be able to keep me kind of going, And so Elisa was pretty much my safety net, my kind of emotional safety net for the duration of the game, where like you see me when in week 8, with the demerge, and Emily P is so close to getting me to flip on Devon, and I call Elisa, I'm like, I'm this close to flipping on Devon, I need you to talk me out of it. And so like she was my go-to, and she was the person I was never going to flip on unless I absolutely had to. And so when like she went out, it was a massive blow to me because I was like, I'm losing my emotional rock in the game, right? And so with that, it was also a double whammy because I had really trusted Erin more than I should have. To her credit, she was playing the middle well enough to where I firmly thought she was with us when she clearly wasn't. And so I was like, I had felt when she had said like, I'm going to like stick with the people who have been nice to me. And like, I felt like I had been incredibly compassionate and empathetic to her, especially considering the Ben bomb, because like I had been where she was. I was like treated like a rag doll and just like abused in all of that kind of emotional sense and bullied. And I was just like, that isn't okay. I want the nice people to win this. I want to treat people like with kindness. And like I mentioned this on the podcast I just did with Naomi, Travis, and Cooper for the LRG.
You're cheating on us, Austin?
No, I'm sorry.
No,
you knew I was doing this before.
No, we love those guys.
But I said like there was a bit of hypocrisy there because I did like play a part in orchestrating the split vote on Erin, which I felt terribly about how hard she took that. Had I known that was going to happen, I probably wouldn't have orchestrated that split vote, and we probably just would have gone for Chloe or maybe flipped those votes to Jesse. And like, and then with the Will and Emily stuff, like I was still very closely aligned with them, but I like was also pretty clear that like what they said in those chats wasn't okay. And so like there's a bit of like hypocrisy there that I kind of recognize. You can call out on that. But I was just like, it was a very tough thing because it was like, someone I trusted and someone I really wanted to believe in completely backstabbed me for a group of people who, like, you have to remember the whole Tafiti stuff in the Rocks Week of the "we don't like you," and all of that just nastiness from that still was there, and so it's just very raw. And to like target Elisa, who by all rights was a good move, like she was a major threat in the game, but that didn't mean it didn't hurt, and that didn't mean that like I was gonna be able to handle myself well after that. Like I didn't handle that well, and I will like fully own up to that, and I apologized profusely many times after that. But the truth of it was like a lot of my darkest shit came back with my depression and my anxiety, and it just really triggered a pretty big burst there. And frankly, I just wasn't strong enough to handle that. And so that's where it was like a very big crashing down to earth moment for me to be like, hey, something's wrong here. I want to make sure I never do something like that again. And so I really, over the past 2 years, have been working pretty hard on that. And it took, like I said, like it took a long time for me to kind of get back to where I was pre-Survivor. And like now I feel like I'm there, I'm surpassing that, which is strange to say, even though in the pandemic, like I'm like, I should be freaking out about the pandemic a lot more than I am, but it's because I've been through the Survivor ringer. So it's like my kind of like perceptions of like freaking out things have kind of been tempered by that. So it really was just, again, a roundabout way to say it was rough, buddy. It was rough.
That's rough, buddy.
That's rough, buddy. Everybody needs a Zuko to kind of be empathetic. So, yeah.
Yeah.
How's that? Does that answer the question?
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably going to be giving really long answers. Sorry, guys.
No, this is good.
You're very articulate, Austin.
Thank you. I try.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to hear that Survivor did have kind of a negative effect on you.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad to hear that you're in a better place now.
Yeah, and I fully recognize that, like, you look at what happened with the Ben bomb, what happened with, like, a lot of that was a lot more deep cutting than my, like, latent depression outburst, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I recognize I did not have the worst of it. But I think it's also compelling to think about how much of the game did affect us as a group and how it affects us as individuals and how, you know, the hope is we can grow from that. And, like, so I can, like, extend that hope to the entire cast and say, like, I hope that from what we all went through, we all found ways to kind of improve ourselves from that.
No, definitely, I think helpful to hear the background because we obviously saw you blow up, and it's like I think it was obvious that there was a lot of things that led to that, and you know, it obviously isn't time to show everything in the edit, but I think that it was good. I think that people definitely seemed understanding, but at the same time, it definitely put a target in your back, kind of from the start of the episode. You know, people were kind of saying like. Even Will and Devon kind of talking right afterwards were like, wow, like Austin seemed really upset about that. And the three of you were kind of immediately on the bottom with Lisa going home, you know?
Yeah, that was funny. I was actually at the time thinking that was going to have the opposite effect, that I was basically destroying any social capital I had with anybody at that point. So I was thinking, oh, this will actually help me. And they'll be like, oh, he's just unstable. He's never going to get a vote because, like, he pissed us all off with that. So I was thinking, oh, like, they're probably not going to go for me this week. How wrong I was and how I didn't realize it until it was too late.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, man, the episode itself was, like, chaotic because from like challenge to tribal was only 15 minutes, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, one of the things I want to talk about was Will and Devon. I think I liked how we haven't really seen this pairing of Will and Devon before. Like I feel like they're almost two opposites, where Will is like so kind of such a big out in front character and neurotic, whereas like Devon is very kind of behind the scenes, like low key, very methodical and planned.
Yeah.
I love kind of seeing this partnership kind of start in this episode.
Yeah, like Will even said, like he's like, they're not gonna vote you off because like they don't even know who you are. Like Will is just
I know.
You know, so out there being alliances and turning on so many different people, and Devon's just kind of been sitting back in the background. Who knows if everybody even knows him? He's on. I'm pretty sure most people know Devon's playing by now, but you know.
Yeah, I love how why did I say Dylan? How Will is just like, yeah, like Devon's like my little brother, you know, at this point, where it's just like
I was just
Devon.
about to say that.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I just thought it was funny. I feel like a lot of people kind of see Devon as a little brother, even though he's not a freshman, is he?
He's a junior.
No.
Because
He's
I
junior,
feel like
yeah.
in the Dylan Devon duo, he also kind of seems like the little brother to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. I
It's
feel like
actually
Even
he's
though
funny.
Dylan's younger.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, like Dylan, I think the way that the whole thing started was Dylan's a sophomore in Ross, and Devin was a junior in Ross. So
Yeah.
Dylan would like ask Devin like for like help with his homework and stuff
Oh,
because
okay.
Devin had like
So,
gone through it before.
so maybe he is Dylan's older brother, but Will's younger brother. That makes sense. And then Will's
Yeah,
both of
yeah.
their older
Yeah.
brothers.
Yeah. No, it's such a good way to form an alliance. Like
Mhm.
what like an amazing coincidence for them to be able to use that as a bonding point.
And I remember at one point, I think it was Aaron like called you Uncle Austin and her Aunt Erin.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow, we had a whole
that
family.
We
It's a
did.
family tree.
Ohana family?
This is a really that's a really dysfunctional family where you have
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
oldest brother Will, middle brother Devin, youngest brother Dylan, with Uncle Austin and Aunt Erin, who's making she's cooking the burgers.
She's cooking the burgers.
Don't eat the meat when you're going over to Aunt Erin's
No.
house.
I think any like Survivor lesson, if we're going like old school, we're going to like some Piranha Feast challenges. Just don't eat the meat.
Oh my gosh, the piranha
Like
feast.
if
Oh my God.
if Probst shows you a roast pork on a spit,
Mm-hmm.
like don't eat it. That's disgusting. Ugh. I love that challenge, but I hate that challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what if they said instead of touchy subjects, it was going to be that challenge? Would you add a different reaction?
Probably. I mean, I'd be like, oh yay, another Survivor Classic. Wait, is it safe? Do we have to sign waivers for this? No, I was so happy that we were doing touchy subjects because I had been like telling my alliance like touchy subjects is coming. We've got to prepare for it. We've got to keep the minority or the majority. And so what I did was I went on YouTube and I just like found all the college survivors I could, and I found all the episodes they did touchy subjects, and I compiled a Google Doc of all of those questions. And so we tried to come up with like the answers for those so that we could essentially game the system. Of course, by the time touchy subjects rolled around, like I was the only one still like kind of hammering the idea in. And so, and also like most of my allies were gone at that point. So, couldn't really come to fruition, but I was in the lead for most of that challenge, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how things would have turned out had I won immunity.
I mean, I feel like probably Brady would have gone home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I imagined.
I mean,
but I don't know.
Honestly, I feel like realistically, it probably just flips and you go home at 6. But yeah. I mean, I guess, a lot can happen, especially for a full week, especially, maybe if you win another immunity or, there's a lot of things that can happen. So, yeah, I guess.
Those what ifs. Mm-hmm. This is why, like, we need alternate timelines to be a thing. So we can just see, like, every domino effect. Like, what happens if I was first boot? What happens if like, if Andrew flips and I go out at Ross?
Yeah, or if Andrew stays and you have Andrew as a good ally through. Yeah, like we were kind of talking with Eliza last time. Like, I feel like he could have been a really good shield for both you and Eliza.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So you kind of rewinding back to what you were saying about before the challenge, like, about if you had won, Brady probably would have gone home because that's exactly what kind of Will was trying to push for earlier.
Yeah.
Where we kind of see that Will and Aaron have this meeting where Will's like, well, what if all 4 of them want to vote for me? Will you still do it? And Aaron's like, no. I mean, she's like, no, I won't vote for you. And Will looks like he does not believe her at all. Like, he just looks so much like he doesn't.
Considering the big blind side Aaron had just pulled off, I don't blame him for not believing her.
But Aaron also is the person that you would trust the most. Isn't that what it says, what she won in the thing?
Trust is a complicated
thing. I mean, we got to learn how to trust.
Gotta learn how to trust.
Yeah, Jack. These hoes ain't loyal.
Yeah.
But also, like, Aaron is definitely, one of the things I think I mentioned this maybe in the last podcast, about how Erin is gaining so much confidence in herself. That's one of the things actually I think that's made me like happy is just like, I watched in the beginning of the season. I like Erin, even just like her body language and how she talks was like in her confessionals. Like I barely even recognized who she was. And then kind of at this point you can like she's joking about dogs with Brady. Like, oh, can you please get me a dog? Like I'm like, wow, this happy, like confident Erin is a lot more similar to the Erin that I know now. It's like she had that one quote like, yes, I know that was a good move. That's why I made it. After like Will and Devon are sucking up to her. Erin is definitely kind of on top of the game right now.
I just love how the power dynamics are always flipping in the season.
Yeah. When you think it would have been like a lot more rigid closer to the start of the merge, and then it just kind of all blew up.
We were in the middle of
interesting to play through, definitely.
We're in the middle of Erin's revenge tour, according to Devon. I think that's Devon's first title quote.
I think it might be. Yeah.
You've had a title quote, right, Us?
I did have one. I had Tempt Fate in episode 3.
Oh, that's right.
That's such a good one.
It's pretty cool.
That was such a good one.
I was kind of hoping I would get Chalky Milk in.
Oh yeah.
But no, Tempt Fate's also good because I mean that's what we all did.
Tempt Fate. That was one of the best. That's one of the best title quotes because it's literally like so descriptive of the episode. I love that. But yeah, going the episode. Will and Dylan. So Will and Dylan are talking and basically deciding that Brady's going to go home if he loses immunity. I feel like Dylan's been trying to get Brady out for like a million weeks in a row at this point.
Yeah, because I remember when he was floating that out to us in Rocks Week, even.
Really?
Yeah.
All the way back then?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I remember and I think I'm pretty sure I got this kind of secondhand, but I'm pretty sure he was like wanting that to happen at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised because, I mean, even at that point, Dylan was close with Sarah, and he didn't really trust Brady and Chloe. Like him, Sarah, and Cassie kind of wanted Brady and Chloe out. So, like...
I was very surprised to hear that.
I feel like it's kind of been a funny story where, like, Dylan and Brady are literally in the final 6 together, but Dylan hasn't ever really wanted to work with Brady, and he's kind of just been, like, stuck with him, like, the whole game.
Yeah, and they've kind of been, like, I mean, they are together, but, like, they're presumed to be, like, much closer than they are.
Yeah, because they were, like, partners in Balloon Stomp, or they're, like, also very similar archetypes, but they really haven't met a lot. Yeah.
The Tafiti dudes, like... Tafiti is just such an enigma of a tribe. Like the Brady, Dylan, Cassie, like there's literally the 3 of them have been together from the beginning of the game, and they're all in the final 6 together. But like it's still like kind of confusing how they all relate with each other and what they actually think about each other. Like I swear those 3 are just such an enigma. I just think it's really funny. Like Austin, at the time, do you remember? Like, what were your impression of, like, the 3 Tafitis around this point in the game?
My biggest thing was, like, I was thinking, like, if you remember the previous episode of Lisa's kind of confessional about Brady, how, like, everyone kind of thought he was hot stuff, but, like, in reality wasn't as big of a threat, like, game-wise. I think he was a big social threat because, like, he has this very magnetic personality about him. And, you know, he, like, takes his shirt off and stuff like that. So I thought, like, but at the same time, like, he really, like, he misplayed an idol, all that stuff. So it was, like, there was that. And then, like, when it came to Cassie and Dylan, they were much more enigmas for me. I really, like, the meeting you saw with me and Dylan, that was the first time I had met with him, and I would have met with him in Rocks Week, but I was kind of sick that week, so I didn't obviously want to get anyone sick. Weird words saying that now.
Yeah.
But so there's that. So I was like, not really. I always saw them as kind of like hiding behind Brady, much like I was kind of trying to hide a little bit behind Aliza.
Yeah, which isn't a bad strategy.
No, it's not a bad strategy, and I think the key is like, if you get to the end, you have to be able to articulate your game well. Whatever your strategy is, whether that's like big moves, little moves, it's the right move that gets you there. So I was like, not necessarily writing anybody off. I was trying to think like, okay, will their game as I see it, is that A, what everyone else is seeing, B, is that going to garner votes? So that's kind of what I was going on in terms of like who is the biggest threat that I perceived, and none of them were. Although I thought that if Brady had gone of those three, that probably would have given me the most benefit. Although now I know that was probably false, and Dylan going probably would have been the most beneficial because of the relationship with Devon that I didn't know about at the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, because
Gotcha.
the last other Savu Savu isn't completely Savu Savu strong. You know?
Yeah.
Did you have any suspicions that anyone was not?
No. None.
Wow.
Thing.
Which is kind of like I should have seen it coming, because like playing the game with Devon, like he's a smart guy, and he's like always thinking of everything from another angle. And so I was like, how did I not see that he would be like seeking other options? And then it was like, why was I not seeking other options?
Yeah.
And so it's like, all these things.
Yeah, I might be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but I'm curious, like, if you had any regrets, like strategically, what was like one thing?
Strategic regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few. It was really like, one is not branching out more. I think I like started to do that with Emily P and Will, and Aaron to an extent with the tribe swap. But like, I really wish I maybe tried to make more inroads within Tafiti. Like, I had met with Brady a couple times, but I don't think that was enough. I maybe thought a little more of those meetings than I should have. And the other ones, like not flipping back with Savu Savu and voting out Brady at the vote we voted Ben out. Because what you don't see with that, and the big reason for my confessional with Wawa, is I was pushing very hard for Ben. Like, I was very firmly in the Tormenta camp on that, whereas the others weren't. I was very much like, like Emily and Will just saved me a couple weeks ago when I should have gone out. B, like, Ben is a humongous threat, and if we scratch Tormenta's back, in theory, they will scratch our back, right? And we'll just get Brady out the next week. Little did I know, of course, the Aaron and Brady relationship was happening at that point.
And it's kind of hard to predict the Ben bomb, you know?
Yes, and then the Ben bomb complicates everything further. And so I think my biggest worry was we had just gotten the majority. I didn't want to jeopardize that. So I was like, we need to keep the 7 strong. Even though I know it won't work, we need to keep it because that's what's in the best interest for me, because that gives me a strategic and personal relationship with every single one of those 7, so I can pick and choose when it comes time for that. But, you know.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
I do wish we maybe flipped and took out probably the bigger target, because had we done that, we maybe would have been able to keep the 7 together a little more.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Well, yeah, because if Brady goes out that episode, then he probably does not win obviously he doesn't win the next immunity.
Yeah, doesn't win that. Yeah.
And who knows? Like if it's you against Ben in the end, or you against who knows? It changes everything.
That might have been a fair shot. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe even it's not even Ben.
I was
maybe
like,
Ben.
yo, why are you leaving me against Adonis over here?
Well, maybe Ben drops right away to grab a buff, and it's a completely different person. Maybe
and who knows? Maybe then I get my pick on. But then even then, that digresses into was my vote actually relevant? Because even if I had sided with Emily and voted for Devon, the question is, would Will have flipped to Eliza and Devon and voted out Emily? So, who knows?
Interesting.
There's so many different roads you can go down.
So many.
Last strategic regret, getting into this week's scramble sesh in Mason Hall. I am a terrible salesman. I was pitching, I think, the right thing the wrong way. I was pitching, we need to get Erin out. She's the biggest threat. But I'm like, why was I pitching it on the idea of fairness? These people don't care about fairness. They want to win. I should have been focusing more on, this is why she's the biggest threat right now.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the way that the question is, would that have worked? Who knows?
But yeah, we can get into the talk about the strategy too later, but I totally see what you're saying where, in your head, Erin is this really big threat and she had just pulled off this really big power move. It definitely makes sense. And she'd, kind of proven that she's good at playing the middle.
Right.
So, and I think you mentioned once before too, you're like, well, if you guys get rid of Erin, you might have been willing to, work with Tafiti later down the line.
Right.
I think that, given the amount of time you guys had, it's just hard to articulate all that stuff,
Exactly. There's so little time, and I was trying to lay low that week and emotionally recenter myself, which I wasn't quite there yet by that time. So it was complicated, layers and layers of complications.
Absolutely. So let's get into the challenge.
Yay!
We have the superlatives / touchy subjects, and you are very clearly excited when we get to the challenge, which is fun.
Were there any superlatives that you were scared of getting or that you were hoping to get?
I don't think so, because I was pretty sure the one I was definitely gonna get was the most likely to get cast on Real Survivor.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Props.
Know who else won that one?
Yeah.
Who?
Jack Tiggleman.
Oh,
Jack Tiggs.
Right? Yeah.
Who was it?
Was it Matthew?
What? I think it was Matthew.
I don't know. Jack, Final Two Alliance.
All right, let's do it.
Only if
what do you guys
Matthew.
I actually, funny story. So watching season 2, I'm like, if I was playing, Sam, Jack, and Sarah would be the people I would align with.
Aw.
So
That's so
in another
cute.
life.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Even after we self-destructed?
Yeah. I mean, Sabu kind of self-destruct.
Yeah. All good.
All good
alliances.
ones. All good ones self-destruct.
All good alliances self-destruct.
So did Maison.
Yeah.
Mitch voted for Leia.
Yeah. You gotta be. One thing I learned is you really got to be careful with your votes.
What do you mean by that?
Had I not thrown my vote on Erin to tie the Chloe vote, I wonder if I wouldn't be surprised if that played a factor in the growing distrust between Erin and the rest of the Innovatrium, because obviously I was in on the plan that she was the contingency should Chloe play an idol, or should someone play an idol for Chloe. So you really do have to be careful with where your votes are, because as we learned from Abby in Cambodia, you fuck with me and you're dead. Mm-hmm. So you fuck with people, you might be on the receiving end of some eliminating votes.
Yeah, I guess I see what you mean with this particular circumstances. It seems like you guys are pulling Erin more to your side during that week, and then you kind of stab her in the back by putting votes on her,
right?
And then, but not voting her out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was complicated.
Yeah, I know it's more complicated.
I don't think we played that entirely right.
Well, I do remember Aaron having.
Yeah.
Aaron had a confessional right after that where she was like, "Why would you vote for somebody to try to like test their loyalty? Like, how is that proving to somebody that you want to purchase them?"
We weren't testing her. The way I perceived it is we weren't testing her loyalty. I was told that she was closely aligned with Chloe, which is why the whole thing about me telling her, "Hey, Chloe's like being a snake," was a bad idea because they apparently were aligned. And so that's where I was like, well, we know that Jesse is like kind of in the middle of everything. And so it's more beneficial to kind of get rid of a potential target like either way. And if there are two allies, we can split them up.
Yeah.
And one of them goes. So it was nothing necessarily like a loyalty test. It was going to be a litmus test in terms of let's see where she votes to know like can we trust her further. But the voting her wasn't really a part of that in my mind. It was like two separate kind of tests. Both of which she passed, to her credit.
But then I guess when you think about it in the long run, though, like literally the next tribal council, you guys ended up voting off Jesse anyways.
Yeah.
And then Aaron not being with you guys ended up kind of like screwing the Innovatrium over at the final 8. It's definitely a hindsight 2020 kind of deal where I think Will and Paddock were really confident Jesse would be with them and weren't as sure about Aaron. When it really should have been, I think they probably should have put votes on Jesse and just.
I don't know if Jesse would have been with us either. I mean, I the only strategic interaction I ever had with her was in Paddock's car.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Jesse wasn't with you guys. You guys voted her off right afterwards. So
but then even then, like she was very in the Ben camp as well. So like I don't think she really would have been with us.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I think it's just like
it was such like a crazy couple weeks.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Let's run through some of those.
So, back to the challenge.
Yeah, some of those other superlatives.
Yeah. There's another one I was surprised. I was surprised that I got I didn't like win any of the others, I think. But I remember Dylan writing me down for most likely to stab you in the back.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
So random.
That's not something I say about you personally.
Yeah. I'm not a great backstabber.
To be fair, though, Dylan was like, in all the questions, like, there was like at least 3 or 4 where everybody unanimously put down one name, and then Dylan put somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like, for who was the most paranoid? That's one of my favorite
parts of touchy subjects.
For who was most paranoid, everybody put Will, and Dylan didn't even put Will. He put, like...
I think did he put me?
He might have put you.
Jeez, maybe he said something against you.
I think he did put me.
I feel like...
Which I can kind of see, but also, with Will there? No.
I might have to knock Dylan a little bit for game perception. Unless he's, like, purposely trying to throw that challenge. I feel like he was losing some of the really obvious. Like, who doesn't put Will for who is most paranoid?
Yeah, like that's just like a meme, you know?
Yeah. Like, Will literally, like, looked around all paranoid, like, as a joke after they said the question. I don't know. I thought that was funny, but...
I mean, he already had Immunity Necklace. He probably wasn't barely even paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's true.
Well, here's a question from me to production then, is if Dylan had won that challenge, would that would be the only immunity then?
No.
Or would immunity go to, like, second place?
He has 2, and he gets to give 1 away.
Ah, okay. That would have been interesting, but I wonder if the result would have been the same. Keep up appearances or then kind of like show your cards and give it to Devon. That would have been a true prisoner's dilemma.
I think he would have given it... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just... No, you go ahead.
I kind of think he would have given it to Cassie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, really?
I feel like that's like the easiest thing to do because you're not protecting, Brady, who you probably want to vote out, but you're also like not exposing something. It's just like, oh yeah, it's the other person, your alliance, or that's, from defeating. I feel like it's just an easy, safe thing to do.
Yeah. Speaking of Cassie, she won the superlative for least likely to survive on a desert island?
Yeah. The Lucy memorial question.
This seems to always make people upset.
Yeah.
Well, of course it would.
It always goes to like the blonde sorority
it always
girl.
goes to the ditzy girl.
Yeah.
I know. Honestly, like kind of like
Could any of us
a
survive on
depiction of
desert
our
island?
society. It's kind of sad, actually, if you think about
Yeah,
it,
it
that
is.
people kind of like I don't know. I don't want to say that it's sexist, but like
It's a little
why is
sexist.
it like
It
well,
is.
yeah.
A little sexist.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying I'm not going to say that everybody there is a sexist for people are sexist for putting Lucy or Cassie, but I feel like inherently like why is it always a girl that gets them?
Yeah.
Dude,
You know?
I would be
I'm pretty sure I would die of dehydration.
Yeah, same.
Or get bitten by a snake, or do something else stupid.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes without my phone. Come on.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I love that Lucy cameo. That was so great.
Mm-hmm.
Like some good season 2 throwback stuff, like with the votes for Maggie. With the steal of my extra vote, and then like obviously the season 2 immunity necklace.
Yep.
Making a cameo a couple times.
And the idol that I found, the fake idol.
Yeah, and Jack's idol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It sat on Ghost Island.
Yeah.
In the off season.
There's some
quick
great season
maturation.
2. Some great season 2 Ghost Island items in this season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, season 2 is looming heavy over this season.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Well, with so many of y'all in production.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I was kind of surprised that Brady and Dylan won the Who Do You Want to Be in a Showmance with? Given that like there was 5 guys and 3 girls.
Well, I think the same thing happened in season 2.
5
right?
and 2. Yeah, did it?
Yeah, because it was me and you, right?
But it was 4-4, I think, right?
But still, I feel like
but Nick's gay.
I feel like we talked about this. Or no, we talked about this in there, like especially like people who have girlfriends. Like I remember, I had Kat was my girlfriend. So then,
you guys vote for each other.
So then I was like, I'm not gonna put a girl because that's weird. So I'm gonna put my bro Sam.
But no, isn't it 5 guys and 2 girls right now? Isn't Cassie and Aaron the only girls?
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
Like
it's literally 5 straight guys with Cassie and Aaron, and then it ends up being Brady and Dylan, which I thought was just funny. But people, I feel like for the Showmance one, people just put I feel like people will just put whatever for it. So
yeah,
I can see it. Brady and Dylan, two great guys,
2 hunks,
two big hunks. What else was there?
There's the one that was most likely to be married first. That one was easy because Will is like older than all of us and has a girlfriend. So I was like, by the law of age,
he can afford a wedding because he's
people
adopted.
get married young, but like, that was an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
Will is definitely the closest to 30, so it makes sense that he would be the first person married. And we get to the end, so you were definitely pretty close to winning this challenge.
I was in the lead for most of it.
Yeah. In the end, it ends up between Will and Brady. Where literally it comes down to the last question, and whoever gets it right wins immunity.
Yeah. This is like who is most likely to win?
Yes.
Or like who's the biggest threat to win?
Who's most likely to win?
I feel like that was like the storybook ending for the challenge.
It was because Will puts Aaron, Brady puts himself.
Yeah.
And Brady wins after putting himself for most likely to win. Like that's just too perfect.
You gotta believe in yourself.
You can't write a better event.
Yeah, if he didn't put himself down, he probably would have been gone.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to win at all.
That would have been that's just crazy to me thinking about it that way. Like if he had put somebody else's name down, he would the self-fulfilling prophecy. He would have just went home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead he's like, no, I'm most likely to win. Then he won.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how like you can think of like there's one like butterfly effect point where you do this one thing, everything changes.
But I also think it's funny that Brady, both in season 2 and season 3, the person that was going to go home won the Superlatives challenge, and it was like the one person everyone's like, oh, they cannot win this immunity,
Yep.
and then they won. Like last time it was Nick, and this time it was Brady.
And we lose an icon in the process.
Yes, true. In season,
Maggie.
We lost Abby for Superlatives last time.
Oh yeah, because that was one.
Yeah, still an
final
icon.
9. Still an icon though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This time,
and it's weird because I feel like you kind of think of this challenge as not being one that's like easily winnable. It's like a little bit more of a crapshoot, like at least kind of like conceptually. Like it's not kind of like, oh, like willpower. Yeah. Well, I can win this one if I like stay up there for X amount of time, or if I like run really fast. But then it ends up the person saves himself. Who needs to.
I think it depends on the rule style, because we've seen it in like OSU, where they've done it with a strike system, the classic like kind of Survivor effigy chop.
Yeah.
Where that's a lot easier for people to like gang up on, but here when it's like a point system, it's a lot easier for it A, to be a crapshoot, but B, for the people who are the most perceptive and the people who get the most answers right to win. So instead of it being more of a popularity contest, it really is kind of the truth of the game. The challenge itself is like how well you know your tribe.
Yeah, I'm not usually a huge fan of challenges where like it's a popularity contest, because if you're on the bottom, you can get screwed out of winning immunity.
Right.
Oh. But yeah, Brady wins his 3rd immunity in a row. I think I don't think anyone else has done that in Survivor Michigan. That's a record. 3 in a row. So, dang. Brady really is the challenge beast. It's crazy we had Emily win 2 in a row. Then we had Brady win 3 in a row. So it's really been like we've had a lot of these streaks. I mean, we had Dylan got immunity in there, you got immunity in there. But
I mean, Dylan had immunity 2 weeks in a row. It's not like winning 2 challenges in a row.
But... Yeah. But definitely a lot of challenges.
So technically, I was the only one so far without like a streak.
Yeah, that's true. Dang, everybody else has been immune from multiple tribals. That's crazy.
Well, actually, you could take Emily P out of that because she gave the necklace to Eliza for.
True. That is true.
I think the Jesse vote. So
this week we have another classic one of our twists in this very twist-heavy season, that we are going to go to immediate tribal after the challenge with a little, 20 minutes of strategizing, Austin?
It was like 15 minutes.
What did you think?
That was such a good twist.
What did you think when...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it terribly, but I loved the twist.
What went through your mind when Cooper announced that to you guys?
I was like, first, well, nah, it's not looking good. And then second, it's like, okay, let's see if we can, like, if people will come to their senses and get rid of the biggest threat when she doesn't have immunity. Like, Erin just made this insane move, and it's clear that she'd been riding the middle, and she has such a good story. But of course, like I said, like, I didn't pitch it like that. I was just like, let's Hufflepuff it out, guys. Let's just juke it out. Let's see what happens. Like, terrible pitch. And, like, we were just, like, all running around with, like, chickens with our heads cut off.
Literally, Will.
Throughout Mason Hall. Doors are opening. Doors are closing. Will has his secret advantage, which is just that it's a final 2. And, like, I'm, like, telling everyone, let's vote for Erin. Let's vote for Erin. And people are, like, nodding their head, and they're like, okay. And then I get in to do my, like, confessional before we vote. And I'm like, I'm not hearing my name, but, like, I kind of think it's going to be me. And so, like, I go into that tribal, like, pretty confident I'm done. And so, like, it was just this whirlwind of, like, the wheels turning and thinking, okay, this might work. No, it's not going to work. I'm done. There's not much I can do. So.
What did you... Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I was just gonna say, I feel like there was kind of like that classic scenario you see all the time. Like I feel like especially in Big Brother, where somebody comes up to this group of people that are strategizing, and then just kind of all goes silent, and then like somebody awkwardly has to like change the subject real quick, which definitely is not a good omen.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of like warning signs that I like finally picked up on the warning signs after having missed them for weeks. But I was just like, yeah, it's probably me. It looks like my little stunt there didn't have the unintended positive consequences that I was hoping it did. So I was like, I very much saw it coming. What I didn't see coming was that it was going to be unanimous. I had thought that Devon didn't vote me out when he did. So, oops. So it kind of. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Do you think that if you had like a week or like a couple days before tribal, it would have been different?
I hope so. I think had I been able to take a couple more days and like decompress, kind of see if I could find my bearings, which wasn't going to be a given at that point. If I was able to make the pitch in the way that I should have, perhaps. But like, you also then have to consider who I'm pitching this to. I'm pitching it to Brady, Aaron's new number one, Cassie, who Aaron is probably Aaron's number two because of girl power, and then like Dylan, who is closely aligned with Cassie, so probably isn't going to do something to weaken her. And so it was like, the question is like, would I be able to? I don't think so, but I think I would have made a better case at the very least.
Right.
Did you ever think about throwing Will under the bus or Devon under the bus?
No, because at that point I was like, I think Will is going to keep me around. I thought that I could be like Will's kind of like wolf in sheep's clothing, and be able to like use him as the shield I had been trying to use him as. And then Devon, I like we'd been talking about, like Will said, like people don't even know Devon's here. So I was kind of thinking that was the general perception, and so I was gonna use that so that he would be like another number for me, and we would be able to like work things out together as that three. But they were rightfully sketched out by me anyways. And so like I hope like we could have smoothed the things over that I didn't know needed to be smoothed over. But it is what it is, and I don't know if I would have really been able to change my fate or not, especially because you see like Dylan and Will talking about voting me out beforehand. So I do think my fate was probably sealed regardless, unless I was able to really make a good pitch, which I obviously wasn't. So yeah,
that's tough.
It's tough, but like, I was happy to go out like kind of on my own terms, where I knew I was going out. Like I did the old like Survivor buff tube top, and did the buff as a loincloth sort of thing. A little homage to Jack Thomas of the New Zealand Survivor season 1. So it was very kind of relieved to go out, and you see that in my like last words. I'm like, you can see I'm like visibly just like calmer in a sense.
Yeah, I like the way you went out.
I'm a little saltier now though. I'm like, y'all took the easy way out. You could have worked with me to get a bigger threat or two out, and then cut me. Was I really getting any votes at the end?
No,
I think you definitely could have.
I do think I could have, and I think like had I been able to get to the end and argue my case, especially because a lot of my game was trying to get people to do what was in their best interest without really even having to do anything, because like you see like Will and Emily flip to me to vote Chloe out, and like they told me like, we want to play with good people and you're good people. Like me not being first out, like making those inroads with Eliza and Andrew, and like further developing those inroads with Will and Emily. And then what I would have hoped to do was have my plan actually happen. I pagong to Feedy, and then I have options with Tormenta. And I likely try to kind of flip back and forth and perfect the Will Wall pendulum strategy that never really happened. So if I was able to plead my case, I think I could have made a really good case for myself. But alas, I never got there. So we'll never know.
Yeah. Also, another thing to talk about for this, not to go backwards or anything, but what about the whole final two thing and Will's advantage? Like that was another kind of funny thing that came out of this episode.
That was funny. I talked about this with Naomi, Travis, and Cooper earlier. Like, Will could have definitely done something else with that and been like, oh, it's like a steal a vote. What do you want to do? Like, oh, it's this like big power. But the funny thing is, like, the advantage wasn't really much of an advantage, and it could have put a lot more of a target on his back had he not told everybody what it was. And so it being a final two really didn't matter to me because it was like, I'm probably going out here anyways at this point. But, I mean, it was cool because, like, you know, we've already done 2 final threes before, so shake it up a little bit. It adds one last kind of hurdle for people to get over. So I was really interested from a juror's perspective to see how that was going to play out. But it really didn't have any effect on my game.
I thought it was really funny that Will got the superlative for least likely to keep a secret, and then he immediately tells everybody about his advantage.
That was apropos.
Right after he was like, I'm not going to tell anybody about this advantage. This is just going to stay with me. And you see him like open the door, and like you and Devon and just surrounded him. We're like, what is it? Like, what is it, Will? And he's like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah, I was just like, if this can help us, tell us. And then he's like, it's irrelevant. And I'm like, okay.
But he kind of had to tell Aaron because Aaron did basically like, if he like he said, she can make it me. And she could have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that was absolutely the right call on his part.
But yeah,
I love how quickly Will like spiraled after he told everyone.
Yeah.
He got so upset.
Yeah. Will is definitely like, I know, Austin, you talk about like throughout the season spiraling. I feel like we're seeing Will spiral too into like this madman. Like he even like looked like he like looks a little bit disheveled. He's like, his eyes are getting crazier and crazier. Like I feel like this game is just really taking its toll.
Yeah, I think it's a real testament to how when you're like so passionate about this game and you give so much to it, it leaves very little of a path of resistance to where the game can fight back against you. So it's definitely something compelling to see how much of a toll the game takes on your mental health.
I feel like that's like one thing that really only happened because of like the expedited week. Like I feel like if you were all able to go home, like you probably still would have eventually like spilled the beans, but it wouldn't have been such like in a breakdown way, you know, where it's just like immediately like announcing to everybody. Like probably would have like gone home and like thought about it for a little bit, and you know maybe told one person or whatever, instead of just like the immediate pressure of everybody ganging up on him.
I think he would have like lied more about what it was.
Yeah, or like, you know, Will definitely would have like thought of some scheme, be like, ooh, I can say that it's, you know, the steal a vote, and like I'll print out a fake thing. Like I can so see him going to like all these
that's
things
what
with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish he had done that. That would have been so great.
Yeah,
it's kind of what we did with with my extra vote, like where we kind of tried to spin it as the hidden immunity idol on the tribe, which was genius, and I don't know how Real Survivor hasn't done that yet.
I love that. I love that as a move.
Oh my gosh!
Like
that was I feel like that was one of my proudest moments. It's like this idea is genius.
Yeah, pretending that your advantage that everybody knows you have is something different than what it actually is. Like I feel like that's something that people haven't really been able to pull off. But it already happened once this season, and literally it saved Devon's life. So
it did. That's crazy.
I love that.
It just shows like the ingenuity in times of desperation, I guess.
Yeah, nice work.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously can't take all the credit. Like, you really have to give that to Eliza and Devon for selling the move. And I was just a part in its execution.
I love that you guys all played a part, which
yeah.
What reminds me of the week that we blindsided Kevin, where it's like everybody had their own little role they played in it. Yeah, it is fun when like as a group you can pull off a move together and just kind of like afterwards be like, wow, like we did that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I really wish I was there for that celebration because I was asleep. And so I wake up to like 52 like missed calls and texts.
Oh, that's great.
I'm just like, oh no, what happened? And then like I see a thing from like Cooper and the Sabu Salva group me saying like, I guess a congratulations is in order. And I'm like, wait, what happened? And I'm like, wait, Eliza had the idol? Wait, Eliza played it? What? They're safe?
Like, could you believe it when you woke up and like saw all that?
I was like, what the? It was crazy.
Oh man.
All right, Allison, I want to do a rapid fire game called Favorites with you. Just like I'm gonna be like favorite tribal, etc., and just like basically like 2 to 5 word answers.
Okay.
Favorite challenge.
Ooh. Idle hands.
Favorite tribal.
Go the Chloe one because of my dancing that didn't make the cut.
Favorite player in the game besides yourself?
Ooh. Do I go with the diplomatic answer? I'll go. I just was mesmerized by Eliza's gameplay. She's fantastic at this game.
Favorite move?
The Eliza Devon idol bluff of the century.
Favorite big wig.
Yeah.
Favorite
I was
big
gonna
wig.
say favorite producer.
You guys know I love you all. No, like, and I do want to say, like, you three were always there for me, and I like really, really appreciated that. Aww. So thank you guys for being like just incredibly empathetic. Like, and you guys know how crazy the game gets. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess unless you guys have anything more, last question. I mean, you got Jack and Sarah. I think it's good to go to the last question.
Yeah, I was ready for that last question.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead if you want. If you're going.
Yeah, so like one thing we always like to ask, I'm sure you know, is like, what was the biggest thing that you learned from playing Survivor Michigan?
So I learned a lot, but I think the biggest thing that I learned is really what my true strengths and weaknesses are. And I really learned that I'm strongest when I'm building people up and those people build me up in return. So you saw like I was aligning myself with the people who were treating me with compassion, the people who were really taking the time out of their day to be supportive friends. And I was giving that right back. And so it's really where I realized that was my biggest strength. But also when I do that, like I said, that's when I'm at my most vulnerable because then I'm giving so much positivity that the negativity has a much easier time getting to me, which is really weird, but that's just how it works with me. And so that's why I love what I do for work. I love being able to make people's day and get to be like an educator and a facilitator. But it also takes a lot out of you, and you're also like hyper aware of everything else. So it's definitely one of the greatest things is that it's helped me cement my calling. It's helped me be far more just in love with Survivor as a show and be able to really empathize with what the real players go through. Like there's been in every season, like 38 onwards, I've been able to find like 1 or 2 people who've been like, yeah, you went through that and your season, I went through something similar playing Michigan. And like that's really made it that much more compelling for me. So I think that's the biggest thing I learned.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how passionate you are about everything you do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, like, why are you doing it? That's kind of my philosophy.
Yeah,
actually,
for sure.
Let's throw it back to end on all the way back to the beginning when I found this dude posting on Reddit about Survivor Michigan and telling him to apply for season 3.
Because I had heard about Survivor Michigan on Twitter. I think it was like around season 2 at some point, and I think I like messaged George about it, but then he said like I don't remember what he said. It was like that he wasn't like doing it anymore or something. And so then when I'd seen it on Reddit, I was like, yes. And so I am so glad you found me. I'm so glad you guys took a chance on this crazy ass nerd samurai fact spitting Survivor encyclopedia emotional nutcase, because it truly changed my life.
Oh, are you still doing your blog?
I'm not. So that's kind of the other sad thing is, so I decided to end it last season. It's just like with work and grad school becoming a lot more demanding. And it had also kind of affected my viewing of Survivor a bit because I was like taking notes and all this stuff. And I just like was really itching to kind of just watch it stress free again. So, and I mean, I didn't have like the best viewership or readership in the world. So it was really fun. It was a great constructive thing. And I got to share, my thoughts. I got some, interaction with some real players out of it who really appreciated it. I remember Missy from Island of the Idols had posted something I wrote about her on her Instagram story, which was super cool. And then I went on to actually compete in her and Aaron's Instagram Live trivia contest, which I won.
Whoa.
And so I had a Zoom call with them and Ronnie Barta from Island of the Idols. They're all fantastic. And then later I was in their very first Zoom trivia competition, which I was the actual like winner of the first round and then the like big final round, which was super cool. So basically I'm a big Survivor nerd. If you couldn't tell that already. So it's like the vlog was awesome, and I'm really glad I got to do it, but it's unfortunately not something that I really would have had a lot of the time for going forward, though now like with Survivor being kind of off air, when it comes back, who knows, maybe I'll pick it up again, so stay tuned.
Woo.
Well, we'll see what life is throwing at me at the moment.
All right.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then also before I go, if you'll indulge one little moment of humility. I know you guys always rank people based on their placements, and I'm up against Cooper and Maggie.
Oh shit.
So
Stats.
like 7th place club, let's go, icons. I don't know what you guys are doing if you're not putting me last. Like, Cooper is awesome.
That's so sad.
Maggie is iconic. Like, there's no way I can compare. So if
I don't
you guys,
know, Austin.
Like, if you don't put me last, I'll be flattered. But if you do, like, it makes sense.
Yep.
So you have my permission if that's what you decide. I no ill will. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Austin.
you so much.
Thanks, Austin.
You're such a good guest.
Like, you guys know I've been KYTL stan since day one.
Yeah,
Love
you
it.
have.
Our biggest fan.
Remember listening to you guys before class, always like recapping season 1. So really, really grateful that you guys do this. It's always fun to hear your insights, especially with like people who played. So just, thank you guys so much just for everything over the years.
Oh, thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
You know, I'm a sappy bud. So
glad to have you on.
Yeah.
You're making me sentimental.
No.
Yeah. So glad that you took a step to apply and play. And became one of the iconic 7th place club members.
Yeah. I mean, we're a club of 3 right now, but excited for the people to see who joins that club in the future.
Well,
Yeah.
But let's just say I'm really excited for people to see future seasons.
Yeah.
Do you think season 3 is good? And then also, if you haven't seen Survivor Buffalo, go watch Survivor Buffalo for some more Survivor Michigan players there. If you can't get enough of us crazy people. And just all the other LRGs and college survivors out there. We're in a golden age right now, so there's so much more content beyond Michigan, and I really highly recommend you give it a go because it really is good Survivor content.
Nice. I second that.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Austin.
Alrighty.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you guys.
on.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye.
Be safe. Wear a mask. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah,
That's
Austin
not
was
to
the
you
OG
guys.
mask
Yeah.
wearer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, Tribal and Triangle was full of smoke. That fire pit was not pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, my torch snuffed.
Oh.
Blown out by Cooper, Still don't know how we got away with lighting torches in Mason Hall. I was having a heart attack every tribal because of that. All right. And then, one more thing. Thank you to the fans for sticking with it through all the crazy points. Hope that you can take something away from what I went through, especially if you're going through any mental health issues. You are not alone, and keep trekking because that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I will let you guys end out here. So thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Austin.
Peace,
Thank
love,
you, Austin.
and chalky milk.
Peace, love, and pace.
Yeah. All righty.
Bye.
Bye.
So great to have Austin on, and so sad to see us lose another iconic member of the 7th Place Club.
Yeah, I just remember being like so sad of the possibility that he was going to be the first boot. And then he makes it to 7th place. Like, he really had a bit of a transformation from the bottom initially.
Yeah, I feel like he was an early favorite of us three. Like, we were definitely pulling hard for him from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember there were so many
Even
points
from
early
casting.
in the game.
Yeah. From casting, when it was
so
just
high.
Yeah, we didn't even know what he looked like because his Facebook profile picture was just something from a video game. We were just all so intrigued by him, and we all we all fought for him super hard.
And then he remember in his interview, he came in and he had his kind of wild hair and his mustache. He was talking about the samurai and I'm going to play Survivor with loyalty and abide by the code of the samurai. We were just we need to cast this dude. We need him on here. Austin's very one of a kind. Such an incredible character, and he had one of the best stories. Just the story of the super fan who loves the game and seems like they're going to go home early so many times.
Yeah.
He escaped the vote against Richard, against the Rocks, and then against Chloe.
Yeah, he was the second highest Sabu Sabu. That's super impressive from where he started the game.
Yeah, would you have looked at that Sabu Sabu tribe on day one, be oh yeah, Austin and Devon are going to be the ones that last the longest.
Yeah, what? No, but he played his heart out. He wore his heart on his sleeve the whole time, and
yeah, he really did.
Sometimes to his detriment, sometimes to his benefit.
Yeah, I think we kind of we eulogized Austin almost a little bit last episode, where we were kind of talking about how the fact that he was such a strong Sabu Sabu loyalist was very, very good for him in the beginning of the game, and I think kind of endeared him to his tribe and made him kind of the mascot. And then in the second half of the game, it was a little bit more, I think, of a liability.
Yeah.
But I think he said it himself, and he's willingly admitting he plays the game with a heart. Like you said, his heart in his sleeve, and I don't think he's really able to play any other way. He's just Austin is just Austin, and sometimes kind of hurt his strategy, I think, but it's just who he is,
Yeah, I feel like it's. Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just agreeing.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say I think it's like interesting because a lot of times when you see like the super fans that go on to play a game, they're always like, I want to be like cold blooded, like I'm gonna backstab everybody, I'm just gonna have like massive strategy and just flip every time. And he's just like really the opposite of that. I'm just like, I want to find the people who are good in this game and like to go with them as far as we can. Like really, yeah, like Rupert.
He really was, yeah.
Yeah, he was a super fan, Rupert.
I kind of feel like too, like Austin kind of went out at the right time. Like I think he even said himself he was kind of ready to be done at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And like he outlasted most of his closest allies. He made it very deep in the game. I think he got out of it what he was looking for.
Definitely. Yeah, maybe it even would have been better for him to go out at 8, but
yeah. But at the end of the day, I do think, Austin was a great character, great alliance member. I think maybe what he probably could have done differently was, like we were saying, maybe branched out a little bit into other like tribes, maybe try to work a little bit more with Tafiti, and didn't kind of like show his alliances as openly as he did. But Austin was very great on TV the whole time. So
yeah. Well, do you want to get to the rankings as he is foreshadowed?
let's get to them.
Yes, let's do it. It's stacked. It's getting more and more stacked as we go.
Oh, literally. I think definitely the most stacked so far of, as we've been going through these rankings, like Cooper, Maggie, Austin. Wow.
Yeah,
if you told me that was like the final 3 of an all-star season, I would be like psyched.
all super different.
Mm-hmm.
But all iconic.
Yeah. One of the things I feel like we actually haven't ever clarified this, and we've been doing this podcast for like almost 2 years now. Did we ever actually like clarify what the rankings are for? Like, is it for who's the best player?
No.
Or
it's for like, it's like best overall player and like who would get further most times.
Yeah, don't we? Okay. Isn't that the thing we always say? Like, if you ran the season 100 times, yada yada yada.
Yeah, I know. I know we always say that, but it's like technically, like you could just pick someone that's like a GOAT and they would get further. But does that mean they're the better, like,
or more
they're the better player?
I don't know.
No, it's like well-roundedness.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's best overall player based on what they did in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not taking into account how good of a character they were at all. We're just purely basing it on strategy and like who as a player then. I feel like that's something we get stuck on sometimes, is like getting biased based on like if someone was a better character than somebody else. Like,
no, it's not about the character. I mean,
it's really all
that
about
can be part of it, but it's not really about the character. That's more the entertainment process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, we're just going pure. I guess because that's one thing I think will help narrow it down, is like we're looking at Maggie and Cooper and Austin, basing it purely off of who is the best player all around, who's going to make it the furthest most times, and like who's going to be most likely to win.
Mm-hmm. What did we say? I honestly don't remember. I feel like it was really close for last season.
Oh, Maggie and Cooper?
Yeah.
I think we definitely had Cooper ahead of Maggie. I think because Cooper is just more rational as a player. He's going to make the decision that's logically best for him more often than Maggie will.
All right. Well, so let's start with Austin versus Maggie.
Ooh, this is a tough one. This is going to be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Both very passionate.
Yeah. Both wear their heart in their sleeve and definitely play emotionally.
Yeah.
Like Maggie's actually really loyal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Dang. They actually are more similar than I really thought. Like, I think that Maggie's more, well, I guess they're both like I was gonna say Maggie's a lot more of a firecracker, but even then, like Austin kind of had his like firecracker moment in this episode.
All right. Well, the difference, I feel like Maggie is more willing to turn on somebody still. Like, I feel like, let's say in the universe, I feel like the relationship between Maggie and me is actually really similar to the relationship between Eliza and Austin. And that Maggie, really thought that it was like we were the number ones of each other and really trusted me. And like, Austin really trusted Eliza, whereas Eliza kind of had these other number ones with people as well. So
Yeah.
it didn't necessarily turn out this way, but like, can you imagine like a universe in which Eliza is like turns on Austin or is like kind of starting to betray Austin and he finds out about it? Do you think he would be as, I don't know.
That's the thing. Eliza, actually, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because you like didn't tell Maggie about your idol, and then Eliza didn't tell Austin about her idol.
Yeah.
But Austin didn't really care, whereas Maggie was like, "This is a deal breaker. Like Jack needs to go."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's the catalyst of it. It wasn't really that I was going against her. I wanted to keep her around. I wanted to go to the end with her.
Yeah, exactly. You just had lied about your idol.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah. So it's pretty much. I feel like it's a pretty good comparison.
I think so. Yeah. That's funny too. Like the you and Eliza comparison is also funny because I think we made that we made that same comparison last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely basing off that, I definitely think that I would put Maggie a little bit higher, even based too off of Austin literally had a confessional earlier in the game. I don't know if it made the cut or not, or he was like, I don't really care if I win anymore. Like I want to. He literally said, I want to go to the finals with Eliza, and I think Eliza would win, but that's fine. Like I don't really. I don't think Austin was there for the experience more than he was there to win.
Yeah.
And it's like there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like that definitely takes a little bit of a hit as far as like if we're gonna rank somebody as a player.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm fine putting Austin last, then Maggie, then Cooper.
I know it's hard.
I know.
I just love all three of them so much as people, and
I know I love them all as people and as players so much. But I feel like that's the thing. The ranking isn't meant to be like this person is better than that person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, and sometimes it's like it's tough because everybody's a good player, and somebody's got to be last. If you have three really excellent players, someone's got to be last. So that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
Officially, we're going to have Cooper in first, and then Maggie, and then our beloved friend Austin.
But it's not so much like a 1, 2, 3. It's more like a, it's like they're all at the top,
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all tied for first as far as entertaining characters that we love to watch.
Yeah.
Even though Maggie's a little bit more first than anybody. she's like the best character ever in the series, but
yeah.
They're all Seventh Place Club is so iconic. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. You have the host of the show now, just wow. So stacked.
Exactly. So stacked. Well, man, we only have 2 more episodes left.
Ah!
That's crazy.
A couple more episodes, and this ending is definitely going to be a wild ride. I think that all of you guys listening out there don't even know what's coming.
Yeah. Whoa!
Because this season has had its fair share of twists and power changes, and that does not end before the finale.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be exciting watch to the final 2.
Yeah.
Bet you didn't expect that when Sarah was like, beginning of the season, you're never going to guess the final 3.
Yeah.
If it was us 3.
What a trickster.
Guys, if it was us 3 and then like they told us, just kidding, it's the final 2, who do you think
what
would have happened?
I feel like it would have made me want to keep you guys around longer, though, because it's easier to vote somebody else.
We got to the final 3, and then we were like, just kidding.
It all depends on who wins the immunity.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I feel like...
Well, what if there was no immunity? We just had to pick.
Oh, no.
And we just each pick somebody else.
We do a purposeful tie and be like, well, let's do a tiebreaker, and then we'll lose at the tiebreaker.
Oh, then Sarah will lose. Sarah will lose the tiebreaker, so it'll be fine.
No, then Sarah would agree to it, but then actually just vote for the person she wanted to vote off.
Yeah. But then Sarah would go to me and said that she actually has an extra vote at Final 3.
That's what would have happened. All right. Maybe that's what happens in this season's Final 3. You never know.
Never know.
We have a few more weeks, and you guys will know all of the answers. So thank you for listening, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.